saltwater crocodile, also known as the estuarine crocodile, is considered to be the top predator among Australian fauna. These beasts can grow to be 6 to 7 metres in length, making them the largest reptile in the world. As they like to inhabit warmer waters, they are found all across the northern areas of Australia, with staggering numbers in the Northern Territory and far north Queensland. With their name, saltwater crocs, or salties in Australia for short, it is typically assumed that these creatures live in saltwater areas. However, they are actually able to live in any body of water, from the brackish waters of estuaries to the freshwater lakes and dams further inland. These crocs have had a rocky history when it comes to their conservation. They became protected in the early 1970s after there was a boom in the crocodile skin industry and population numbers decreased to almost extinction levels. After this protection was put in place in the Northern Territory, numbers increased dramatically to between 90 and 100,000 individuals. This was great for crocodile conservation in that the population had been restored to near pre-hunting numbers and were reaching the point of carrying capacity in many areas. The only issue was, there are a lot more people living in those parts of Australia now than there were back when the conservation efforts began. With depleting habitat area and competition for space increasing for the crocodiles, they have had no choice but to move further into areas that are inhabited by humans, which is a scary thought for us human beings. There are various management implications that have proven to be quite effective in Northern Territory to decrease the number of conflicts happening between crocs and humans. The removal of problem crocodiles is one of the most commonly used methods. However, if this method is not monitored closely, it could lead to the same population decreases that we saw back in the early 70s, and back to extinction. Many people in the public living with crocodiles want to see these problem animals relocated from areas where they are viewed as a threat to humans. This is understandable. With these beasts lurking around, you wouldn't want your kids slipping into the water that's croc territory. However, with croc numbers as they are now, it is hard to find areas that aren't croc territory. In a recent study done by crocodile experts at the Australia Zoo, it was found that there was a close to 100% probability of a crocodile of greater length than 2.5 metres lurking unnoticed in waters that humans frequently use. With this research in mind, you would think that most people would want to stay away from these areas. When you take a closer look, however, it is quite the opposite. In the Northern Territory alone, through tours and other attractions based around crocodiles, the revenue generated brings in thousands of dollars a year. These tourists are also exploring the beautiful landscapes of northern Australian bushland, and potentially swimming in crocodile-infested waters. So it seems to be that although these crocs have a reputation for being terrifying man-eaters, it doesn't stop tourists coming to the area and swimming in croc territory. So the main issue we have is trying to balance out crocodile conservation while also having management and education plans and guidelines in place to reduce potential conflict. In the past, to manage this issue, the relocation of problem crocodiles has been the focal point in managing threats and decreasing conflict. This management has been greatly successful and has been reassessed and changed over the years to improve. Currently in the Northern Territory, there is a plan called the Incentive-Driven Management Plan, where crocodiles are removed from the wild if they are deemed to be a problem crocodile. The term problem crocodile caters to a wide definition which includes the crocodile has attacked or is about to attack a person or persons, the crocodile is behaving aggressively towards a person or persons, the location of the crocodile make it a threat or potential threat to human safety or well-being, the activity of the crocodile is affecting the productivity of industry or commercial enterprises, or any crocodile over 2.5 meters in length, regardless of sex. Although many crocodiles are removed, to make whole areas croc-free is simply not feasible or not justifiable. In crocodile management, ideally the animals would remain in the wild. However, if a crocodile is displaying any of these behaviours, actions must be taken to ensure public safety. The method involved when removing a problem crocodile is through reporting to staff members within the Parks and Wildlife Services, and they will assess the crocodile and determine whether the croc must be removed. Park rangers can also assist in removing a crocodile from an area. Once the situation has been evaluated, depending on what the outcome is, who is involved with the relocation, the croc may be relocated to several places. One of the relocation areas includes capturing problem animals and relocating them back into the wild, further away from human disturbance. This involves ethically capturing the problem animal using a trap much like this one, and then transporting them away from future human contact. The relocation of adult or juvenile crocodiles is a risky procedure and is not always found to be the most encouraging way. This is due to a few factors. One being that adult crocs can be extremely territorial, so it may be difficult for a crocodile placed in a new area to compete for its own space. This then may lead into the next factor that makes this method not as successful. It has been found that many crocodiles that have been relocated into these more remote areas tend to return to their original removal site. This makes this costly and stressful method not very effective for croc management. Another harsher but very real relocation site for these beautiful animals is unfortunately to what are termed croc farms. The definition of a croc farm includes any facility that breeds or captures crocodiles for commercial use. The collection of the crocodiles is much the same as the previous, in that all, or most, crocodiles have been deemed problem animals and are removed to protect the well-being of us humans. Even though this removal is helping in the area of reducing conflict, strict guidelines need to be in place to monitor the number of crocs being taken. Eggs can also be collected from the wild and grown in captivity to later be used for the industry. What is this industry, you might ask? Well, as you can guess, the skins of these crocs are highly valuable and made into high-quality leather that is later used for shoes and handbags. As the industry focuses around high fashion, many runway brands own multiple croc farming facilities, including the well-known brand Louis Vuitton. With demand needing to be filled and Northern Australia having such a successful croc population, this makes the Northern Territory the world leaders in this particular leather production. So the relocation of crocs is kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place at the moment, with one method being quite unsuccessful with the crocs returning to the problem areas, and the other seeing these iconic dinosaurs being killed and made into belts and bags. As well as this, removing the crocodiles has a direct environmental impact, as a top predator being removed can affect both the structure and function of an ecosystem. So ideally, the best conservation method would revolve around keeping them where they belong. As senior reptile keepers from Australia Zoo states, the conservation of every species within any habitat is important due to the interconnected nature of species within ecosystems. The loss of a single species can have detrimental flow-on effects for the other species within the food chain or food web. Saltwater crocodiles are of course an apex predator, sitting at the top of the food chain. They play a very important role in the ecosystem, keeping the other species lower down the food chain in balance. So what can we do to keep these important crocs in the wild? To avoid this situation, conservationists believe that management strategies such as increased monitoring and improved community awareness of living with crocodiles will assist the protection of this animal. Greater knowledge and education of the public would decrease the level of conflict, which in turn would lead to less crocodiles needing to be relocated. In a study published in Animal Conservation 2014, a team of researchers aimed to reveal aspects of human behavior living near waterways of possible crocodile presence. The findings of this survey showed that although many people knew there were crocs living in an area, they were still willing to go into the water. In light of these details, where should we go now to improve human-crocodile coexistence? Several research papers suggest that removal of problem crocodiles and safety awareness education should be maintained year-round. We asked the team at Australia Zoo what their thoughts on this issue was. They replied with this: problem crocodiles is an issue that Queensland government has been trying to manage for many decades now. A greater understanding of crocodile behavior, biology, and population dynamics is essential in developing more effective management strategies, hence our support for crocodile research. While past strategies have relied heavily on relocation of problem crocs to other areas in the wild, this is not necessarily a strategy that has been successful. Education is a big part of the solution: how to stay safe in crocodile territory. Many research papers agree with Australia Zoo on that part, claiming that education of children should be integrated in the school education, and it is particularly recommended to implement such education in hotspot areas. The government has implemented a community awareness program that promotes a croc-wise way of life for residents of and visitors to areas where crocodiles occur. So to return to the main issue, when trying to balance both crocodile conservation while ensuring the safety of the public, this education and the removal of crocodiles must be maintained. The relocation to crocodile farms, however, must be monitored in order to ensure that the number of crocs remains sustainable.
are, you might see a sign if you're driving in your car. Take heed of the sign if it says not to swim. Don't risk your life on a dare or a whim. Crocodiles can move around to any waterway. What was safe to swim the other week might not be safe today. Even if you think that you know it's safe to swim, you're gonna risk your life if you jump right in.